What's up everyone, welcome back to ARTV. My name is John and the Teal Album has been dropped on us from the Gods of Africa, aka Weezer. They've got 10 cover songs in the form of their 5th self-titled album, aka the Teal Album. This is getting a little bit out of hand at this point, but I also kinda low-key love it. This is a prelude to the Black Album, which is dropping March 1st. I am looking forward to hearing that, obviously after Can't Knock the Hustle and Zombie Bastards, and this 10-song cover album is certainly dividing fans. Now, I could do a traditional review of this album, and sure, I'm going to talk about some of the individual cover songs, we'll get more to that in a minute, but I want to talk about how over the past 24 hours, Twitter has been blowing up and erupting. It seems like not just Twitter, but all over the internet. People are super divided on this album, and some people are just so mad, and I have to ask, why? Is it worth getting mad over 10 cover songs from Weezer? See this as Rivers Cuomo doing karaoke? See this as a solid cover album? It really doesn't matter or change anything one way or the other. I just don't understand the point in having such animosity towards an innocent little cover album that's been floated out there as a little predecessor, a little gift to the fans. It's not like this is even out on shelves yet. This is literally on streaming services. You can check it out or you cannot check it out. It's not that deep. With the way that certain pockets of the internet have reacted to the new Weezer covers album, you would think that Rivers Cuomo personally ran up to somebody's mom and slit their throat in front of them with the amount of screaming that's going on at Weezer. How could you? You've butchered this song. This is a terrible rendition. And people were even saying that dating back to Africa. And I listened to the song and maybe sure, it's not that different. They didn't put a unique spin on it. But how is it that horrible? I don't hear it. In that hilarious SNL skit, Matt Damon argued with the cast members of SNL about Weezer in hyper-dramatic fashion, and to some it probably looked like, oh wow, this is so ridiculous, so over the top, people aren't actually like this or else ride or die for Weezer, but it actually felt like a pretty good representation of the online community for Weezer fans. Some people get so hyper angry, over the top, yelling at each other, saying this is the moment they sold out and they haven't been good since this, and they don't care about any kind of reason. And I am quick to call Weezer on their shit. If they put out something mediocre, lackluster, or else forced, then I'm going to pan it just like I would any other band. Nobody gets favoritism. But the Teal Album, to say that this is the moment where you're jumping ship, where they sold out. Boys and girls, if Weezer sold out, then they did it decades ago, and the Teal Album is not anything that's moving the meter one way or the other. This is not that great of a covers album, but I really didn't think that I'd have to go out on a limb this far to say it's not that bad, guys. It's really not that awful, because there's actually some good covers on here. The No Scrubs cover, originally by TLC, definitely got a chuckle or two out of me, and it doesn't sound bad at all. I like hearing Rivers Cuomo take on vocals on some of these tracks, and Paranoid, which I am disappointed that it wasn't their Paranoid Android cover, Radiohead originally, obviously, a fantastic cover, probably Weezer's best cover to date. It was actually a Paranoid by Black Sabbath cover, and obviously that wasn't Rivers on vocals, but still, it was pretty badass, I guess. And I feel like some people just came out expecting them to have these really triumphant statements. Or if they were going to do a covers album, then it better be so avant-garde that we can't even recognize the original songs. But again, I remind you, this is Weezer. They are having fun, and they are kind of in the shitposting phase as a band once again. They were there back in like 2008 when they were doing skits with Fred and the Annoying Orange on YouTube, and they've kind of hit that phase again. I love following Rivers on Twitter. It's hilarious how he reposts some of the things that his fans send to him, and also his own jarring tweets that seemingly come out of left field. He does not take himself seriously. This covers album doesn't either, and it's a lot of fun to listen to if I'm being quite honest. Just hearing Rivers shout "woo" during the Billie Jean Michael Jackson cover, that brought a huge smile to my face. And also, Everybody Wants to Rule the World, originally by Tears for Fears, I actually think this Weezer cover is legitimately good. Sure, there's definitely some moments where I feel like things are lacking, like I wish there was a bit of stimulant here, something more than just the surface level cover that does feel like they're going on karaoke. Mr. Blue Sky was one of those by Electric Light Orchestra originally. Jeff Jeff Lynne obviously penning that beautiful song, one of my favorites of all time, and Rivers didn't even do the little outro, the vocoded Mr. Blue Sky outro, but still, it was okay, and I'm not upset about it. Being a huge fan of Take On Me by a-ha, I was a little bit indifferent on their take on this classic song. I think that the synth tones here were a little bit weak, like a little bit phoned in. I know that Patrick Wilson, the drummer of the band, did the production on this, and I feel like this wasn't necessarily assembled overnight. They've been playing some of these songs live. Obviously, Rivers has been performing them solo as well. I don't think it was packaged together overnight, but also, it's not something that they necessarily put every little ounce of thought into, nor should they have. If you overthink a cover sometimes, then it can make matters even worse. Cuomo sounds particularly spry on Happy Together by the Turtles originally. This is a classic song, one that I grew up listening to, and this rendition just feels very triumphant, very jubilant, kind of flowing over, bubbling over, and I like the fact that the entire band has a good presence here. There's a very strong, warm guitar that feels like sunshine embracing you, and also Cuomo's vocals, especially during the chorus, top notch. My boy Brian Bell, who normally plays the rhythm guitar, does backing vocals and stuff like that, he takes on lead vocals on Paranoid, and that is awesome. I did not expect that at first. When I saw the track list, I thought, is Rivers really gonna take on Black Sabbath? But it's Brian Bell, and he does a good job here. It's, again, not the best cover in the books. There's so many, and yes, I know an argument against this little covers album here is that all of these songs have been covered to death. Well, sure, but you could probably argue that about anybody's covers album. I mean, where was the outrage when Train did Led Zeppelin 2 in its entirety? I also want to talk about the closing moment, the final song that I'm going to touch on, Stand By Me, originally by Ben E. King. This came out in the 60s, and all of these covers were mostly from the 80s, some in the 1970s, one in the 1990s, and obviously this being the only 1960s track, I believe. Now, Ben E. King obviously had a classic on his hands with this one, and Rivers comes through and does a fine job here. It's just a different closer. It doesn't necessarily fit in with all of the other songs, but that's not always a bad thing. They have some sort of key and it unlocks something for me. I don't think it's necessarily me thinking, wow, fireworks going off, what an amazing cover, but it's also not me shutting it down and saying, throw this into hell. That's all I've got to say about the Teal album, guys. It's a precursor to their upcoming studio album. The main thing that I'm pissed off about is that now I've got another album to rank for my ranked episode that I'll be doing on Weezer after the Black Album drops. Anyways, guys, treat everybody like a friend. Stop yelling about Weezer on the internet. It is not gonna get you anywhere, and stop thinking that you're better if you only enjoy Pinkerton and Blue, and let other people enjoy what they're gonna enjoy. Anyways, guys, thank you for watching. Drop a like on this video to let me know that you enjoyed it, and subscribe for the love of music. In case you're curious about my rating for this little covers album, I'm gonna give this a strong 3 out of 5, leaning maybe a little bit more towards a 3.5. If you'd like to help support my channel on Patreon, then please tap the top link down below, or else the annotation in the corner. If you'd like to see another Weezer review, tap here, or tap here for another recent video I reviewed on my channel. Other than that, socials in the description, and I'll see you soon for more on ARTV.